I'm going to make Thanksgiving in Minecraft. My plan is to require the player to build this structure and then go out along the world collecting different food items to throw onto their table, with the ultimate goal of bringing the family together and receiving a reward for that as well. I plan to do this while using a data pack to make everything work properly, and it's going to be interesting how this comes along. Here's some of the food items I was starting to think of that we could involve. Of course, we're going to have to include the turkey, as well as some other different things that you would normally see at a dinner table types of sorts. If you're not accustomed to the idea of Thanksgiving, it is just a big dinner that people have on a random day. There's more history there, but I'm not going to go into it. So the first thing I'm going to do is define what type of table should the player have to build and such. I kind of had this pre-planned here. The one thing is, like, do we require the candles? Do we provide those? I'm thinking I might just have them build this wooden section here, the actual table part, and put everything else in myself. I'm thinking of involving the first item here to be the thing that you're going to have to collect to begin with, and having them throw it in here or put it on the table in some way to start everything. Shouldn't be too hard to detect. Alright, so the first thing I did was just get the first detection parts of the script working. So I'm thinking of having the player just have to build these parts. So that's slabs, some stairs on the sides, and then a item frame up top, and then putting a chicken in here, or turkey, would start everything off. So right now it is just going to spam hi in the chat whenever this is a stair. I currently have it so it's only in that specific rotation. That way you have to actually build the table to make it work. Although that's only with this one very specific block, I now also have to check all of these other blocks and then also make it for all the different rotations. Alright, so I've just set it up so whenever the chicken is in the middle of the table, we get a little message in chat saying that it is a table, and that's only going to work if every single piece is in here. So if I remove that one, we're good. If I remove these, we're good. Of course, everything works there, and it also works in this rotation. And of course, that won't work if stuff is missing in the table, only if it's constructed correctly. But it also works with different types of wood, so you don't have to make it all oak or only oak. You can do mixtures or whatever you'd like. So next, I want to generate the rest of what I'm going to place around the table. At least, I feel like why not, add some more decorations to that. Alright, so I just added the functionality for the chairs and the candles. I went for mangrove instead, and I actually swapped these colors around just because I thought they fit better. And of course, take that out, remove these. I also did the other rotation, keeping that up and in theme. So next, I want to remove the chicken from this item frame and throw it somewhere on the table. I'm thinking item display. Maybe we do that thing that flowers do where they have the image on a cross section and there's two copies of it, where you can see like there's a cross section of the two of the same image. I could maybe do the same with the cooked chicken and make it look 3D that way and throw it on top of the table. For position, I don't know, because the item frame's already in the center, and I kind of want to use this as like the input spot for all your other food. So this kind of needs to go somewhere along the top here. It's going to be interesting to see how that works out. Alright, so I just added the further functionality here. When you right click with the chicken, you place all of the stairs around the table as well as the candles, and I actually got the flipped around chicken here. It looks a little weird, I'm not going to lie, but like if you look at it straight on, it's probably because of that little overlap. It's not centered exactly how I thought it would be, so I might want to just shift those along their axes a little bit, but I'll fix that. I was also thinking of maybe putting either a pressure plate or a trapdoor underneath as like a plate. Pressure plate probably looks the best, but I'm probably going to use a block display for that and shrink it a little bit just so it looks different than just a pressure plate on the table. And then we're going to keep this here for adding any of the other items. Another thing I did is I prevented it from being able to trigger again. So if you put another chicken in here, it's not going to make new things, as you can tell, because it's already got a chicken on there. Alright, so I just added in real quick that little detail. It's actually a little bit smaller of a pressure plate, both horizontally and vertically. And then I also fixed this pixel overlap. It is now like a little bit unperfect, but I think I'm forced to just by the size and nature of the texture. So what I want to do next is a little bit of a cleanup script where if you break this item frame, it will remove everything that wasn't here to begin with. So that would be all of the block and item displays I'm using here, as well as all of the chairs and the candles. Alright, sick. So now when you place this down and create a table, you're good to just break this and it will remove everything around it, as well as it's going to prevent other tables from being constructed too close. So technically I could always break these, and if I were to say make a table right here directly next to where this table is, the chairs from this table would overwrite this one, so making one will not work until this one is destroyed, although destroying this one still removes the places where the chairs should have been, but of course restoring this table will now make this into a table as well. I could either place down interaction entities at every single chair so that you cannot break them, or the entire area in fact, but I still kind of want the player to be able to customize their table after creation, because once you do this, all of these blocks can be changed and are perfectly fine as long as you don't break the table, because then replacing it will require all these blocks again. And I kind of like the idea of letting the player customize this later if they would like to, so I'm thinking of keeping that ability in. So if you break these and you end up replacing these with something actually important, like this trapdoor, unfortunately it will go away. But I mean, I could always just check to see if each block is the mangrove stair or the candle, but at that point I feel like that's a little extra. I mean, maybe it wouldn't be too hard. So next, I'm going to start putting some of the other foods onto the table. I'm probably going to do a very similar method as I did with that chicken with all these other items, because I think for most of these it will suit well, like the pumpkin pie, the stew, the bucket might look interesting, but then there might be some with the angle, it might be a little difficult. We might have to rotate some things. Alright, so let's take a look at the mutton on the table here. I went to put it on the left side here, back a little bit, and I went for the like 3 next to each other. I feel like I've seen this before. Instead of doing like the 3D model, I feel like I've seen like mutton chops like lined up in this type of way. I don't know, maybe I'm making this up, but something I just did. I also scaled it down a little bit. These aren't the exact same size, and I think that is fine as long as it looks good. Alright, so I've been at work with the rabbit stew. I decided to add this one next, and I'm trying to do something similar to what I did with the chicken here, but the issue is, since there's an even number of pixels, there's no easy way to divide this directly down the middle. I tried my best here with aligning it to this pixel, so it looks pretty okay from this angle. This angle, if you don't look at it too close, it's okay, but you know, like this one's kind of a bad angle to look at, so I'm not sure exactly. This one worked a lot better because the 2 legs here kind of separate on purpose, and it acts a lot more like a real chicken. Actually, there's another thing I have to do here to make it align just a little better like this one did, but either way, it's still going to look a little odd, and I don't know if there's any way to really fix that. Alright, so here comes the salmon. I decided to put them on a plate and kind of have them stick upwards, which is really interesting because it gives this really nice 3D effect where you can still see them from like table level. I actually am really happy with how this came out. I've kind of laid out what I wanted to see up in my inventory, thinking of adding water bottle to this list just to balance the milk bucket like in the middle here. I think it'd be kind of funny. So I'm gonna work on one of these 3 over here. Issue is that the rest of the ones I have left are kind of difficult. I might try something similar with the carrots out of this. We'll see. So I've added our next one here. It is the bread. I went for 3 loaves here, and I actually made these thicker using the scale feature just because I think it makes it look more like loaves that way. So after that, I might look into adding carrots over on this side. Alright, so I worked on the next one here, carrots. I did something very similar like I did with the salmon and layered them on top of each other. I just did 3 here. I think that also looks pretty great. Next ones are going to be kind of challenging though with the potato or the pie. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to go about those, but I'll definitely have to go and try to see what those end up looking like. Alright, so here we go. Our next one, pumpkin pie. I went for something a little interesting because this texture actually has a really weird perspective on it. Like, it's meant to be looked at kind of at an upward and sideward angle. So my best compromise was to just go top down, and then I made it a little bit thicker to display that depth that a usual pie would have. Even though technically this perspective is wrong. It's really hard to try to get it because like the side is very visible and the top is very visible. So it's kind of like if you were looking at a pie from like this angle. And I don't know the best way to display it in a block form. I mean, I could have done the crisscross thing, but I was trying to do that. And the chunked out section here was looking really weird. Like there was a orientation in which you saw like 2 chunks missing, and there was an orientation where there was none. It was kind of not working as well. So I settled on this. And next we're going to look at what the baked potato is going to look like here. I might do one big one or I might do a few. I'm not sure yet. Let me try that out. All right, here is the baked potatoes here. I went for 4 of them, kind of in this like grid pattern that is a little bit askew. And I did something very similar to the pumpkin pie where it is just a thicker size of the original texture, and I've scaled that to be a little bit smaller so I can have multiple on a dish. I think it looks good, kind of similar to that one, but it's fine. That leaves only 2 more left, as I've done a lot of the other things, as you can see here. So there's 2 spots left here, and I'm thinking of dedicating those to different drinks. Obviously I wanted to put the milk bucket on here, and I was thinking of adding a water bottle to the other side, just because I think it'd be kind of an interesting little thing to do. I mean, to me it makes sense. I don't know why I'm trying to over explain how drinks work. All right, so here's a little look at the milk bucket. I actually spent a while adjusting this just because it wasn't really sitting well on the middle placement. Like it was slightly off and such, and I've kind of gotten the mixels kind of figured out. I mean, there's like still a slight little bit there. I'm basically referring to how big each pixel on the bucket looks. I'm trying to keep them all the same size, and there's just that one little bit there that is still sticking out. But I've been adjusting it for so much that I think I'm going to decide to leave it this way. It looks fine as is. And I don't know if I can actually get it perfectly exact without at least some like weird math. But at a quick glance, it's fine. So next, I want to put a water bottle here. I might do a couple bottles, not just like one. Like this seems like a jug in real life, and these could be like multiple smaller bottles and such. All right, so first off, we have the chicken or the turkey that we're putting in the middle here. We got the mutton, the salmon, bread, potatoes, the carrots, the stew, the pie, the milk, and now I've added the water here. So it's like a little 6-pack of different bottles here I just put on the table. I think it looks pretty interesting, and thankfully these are an even number of pixels up top, so doing this split thing actually looks pretty good. It doesn't have that weird issues that like these 2 items had. But with that, the table is complete, and now I gotta figure out what to do from here. Alright, so I just took the time to kind of make a flow chart of everything that this table kind of requires. So all of our output is up here at the top, and most of our inputs are down here at the bottom, although we also have some on the sides and stuff. So I'll just quickly explain everything that we'll need. That is raw mutton, 2 uncooked potatoes, raw chicken, raw salmon, raw iron, sand, seeds, chicken, sugarcane, pumpkins, wood, 2 carrots, as well as a mushroom, brown mushroom specifically, and they all kind of are self-explanatory. Everything over here gets cooked, so obviously all these raw foods are being cooked. The iron gets turned into a bucket for a bucket of milk. The sand turns into glass, which then I turn into a bottle, put that in water, and that's how you get the water bottles, of course. The seeds are just used to turn to wheat, put that right into bread. Pumpkin pie is quite interesting. You need an egg from being nearby chickens, sugar from the sugar cane, and then a pumpkin, and that just crafts right away. And then the most surprising ones, I actually didn't know the crafting recipe for rabbit stew, and it's actually the most involved one here. So you need wood to turn into planks, to turn into a bowl. You then need to get brown mushrooms from somewhere. You need 1 of your carrots. You need 1 of those baked potatoes from earlier, and you need a cooked rabbit from over there. I forgot to add that. That was the one I was forgetting over there. And that combines into the stew, and then the carrots left over are your last item there. That's how those all work out. It's a little confusing, but you get there eventually. So now we have to determine what is a proper reward for all of this work. Now, some of this is very simple. Like, you can get seeds anywhere, you can find iron pretty much anywhere, cook most of this anywhere. The only really tough spots might be finding pumpkins, but is definitely killing a rabbit. This is where everything kind of hinges on being difficult. Not only do you have to find a biome that contains a rabbit, you then have to be able to kill it, get lucky enough to get a bit of cooked rabbit or raw rabbit. I think that isn't a 100% guaranteed chance, so that might be even more difficult. And then of course do everything else. So I'm gonna have to take that into heavy consideration when thinking of the reward. One thing I didn't even plan on doing was I actually used 2 items required for 1 item on the table as well, and I didn't even like think about that ahead of time. I just kind of went for things that naturally felt good to put on this table, and I ended up reusing 2 things. Oh well, you know, not much I could do now. I mean, obviously I could always change it, but I think it's fine as is. Alright, so here's what I came up with. I'm thinking 8 golden carrots so that you no longer go hungry. Makes sense for making a dinner table, as well as just some good payment blocks here. So I know this is a lot of diamonds here, but I kind of want to slot this into a sort of early to mid game, like getting rabbits and such. It's still like sort of a challenge. It's a lot easier once you get Elytra, of course, but I wanted to make it a priority for that earlier game. And then everything else here isn't too difficult to craft. Of course, one thing I didn't factor into here is the crafting of all of the planks for the wooden table and the 1 leather that you're going to need for the item frame. But other than that, I mean, I think this is a good enough incentive to make the player want to do this and want to do it sooner than later, because it'll be more valuable the sooner that you do it. Now, of course, this is subject to change. If you guys think there's a better idea, you should let me know. But I'm going to make that appear out of the table when you complete it, as well as get rid of this item frame, because it's not needed anymore. And here we go. So let's go all from the top. That's our chicken, everything in. And now when you throw these all in, all the items come flying out, and the item frame is finally gone. Now you got these rewards for your own use, and the table is complete. So yeah, you can go in now afterwards, change anything you want. You always could. The only main difference I've done now is, since the item frame's gone but all these decorations are here, how do you remove the table if you don't want this still here? And the secret is with the slab. So now I've changed it so breaking the slab will remove the table. This is also true with incomplete tables, so even if I haven't finished the table, I can actually still remove this item frame if I first say don't want a full table. Maybe I only want the turkey on it. And then I can actually go back in and place that down and then throw in a different item. Actually, you can't. I should probably change that. But anyway, yeah, that's the block that matters. And with all of that, you could always go back and make new tables later in different spots if you wanted to get these rewards again over and over. And with that, the table is complete. Now you can invite your friends over, chill at your different chairs here, enjoy a meal with them, as well as just enjoy the game of Minecraft in general. I'm going to actually make this available down in the description so that you can play it for yourself as a data pack that you could throw on any world. It will be on Planet Minecraft. Once you have that in your world, all you have to do is construct this table here out of any wood type. Just make sure these are stairs, these are planks, and they're facing in the right direction. And place an item frame in the middle and put down your first item, being the chicken. And everything else will work from there. And that's going to be it for the video. This one was edited actually not by me, by Cinnamon from my Discord server. I'll leave their link and the link to the server in the description below, where you'll also find the download for this data pack. Also, leave any comments down below of anything you could see improved on the videos as a whole, because we're trying some new things out right now and we'd love to have your feedback, either in the comments or even in the Discord as well. Make sure you hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Make sure to hit subscribe if you want to know when I upload next, and I'll see you then.